Hello everybody, speed gaming friends and fans. Welcome to this Monday edition of the Link to the Past Randomizer Community Race. And today we have an open defeat Ganon 7-7, dialing it back a little bit from what we've been doing on this, but there's a lot more fun stuff coming up on the schedule. I am Zeruvian, and today I'm going to be talking you through Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna and Technolink's little tilt here. Nice little grudge match on this Monday afternoon, as we're going to see our runners play through one of Randomizer's simplest modes. Yeah, these two have a bit of a history, Techno and Scruff. They're no strangers to things going back and forth. So we should see a little bit of excitement out of these two runners, as Scruff is going to take the start at Link's house, and so will Techno. Just 10 arrows to start with, nothing really too exciting. These two Uncle Routers. Very quick map check. 5-6 crystal on Eastern Palace, a Desert Palace crystal, and a red pendant over on Tower of Hera. So we're going to have a two-pendant Dark World. That makes things a little bit more interesting moving forward here. And you see both runners are going to go ahead and take a signpost and throw it at a guard, get a tree pull here. Nice, You throw a sign in a garden, money falls out of a tree, and of course the money's really not worth too much, so we're going to see what Uncle has for us. This is common among a lot of open players to come and get Uncle's items first, since you're right here. 3 easy checks in the get-go, and you come up with something like a sword or boots, it opens up a little bit more to do, depending on which direction you decide to go in here. So we did see they got their first bottle there off of Uncle. It has a good B in it, so that is going to open up the sick kid check as we go through the loop in Kakariko Village. And the map is in the Sanctuary chest, so we know for a fact that we're going to need to probably dive in there and see where the key is to determine whether or not the items are considered to be in logic yet. Of course, if you get a glove, you can drop out the back of Sanctuary and get whatever happens to be waiting for you there, but right now we don't have any bombs, so nothing doing so far in terms of that. And we're going to see both runners go up, and we're going to check what's waiting for us on Lumberjack, see if Aganim is required today. It's just 20 rupees sitting up on the Lumberjack ledge, so Aganim is not going to die for his item. However, it is too early to tell whether or not we're going to have Dark World access through him. Chat pointing out that that good B in the bottle is pretty good in this case, because if you don't happen to get a lot of early money, which, as we've seen, money hasn't really come by just quite yet, the bottle merchant will buy it for 100 rupees, which you can then give back to the bottle merchant and get scammed and be given 20 rupees or something. Oh, speak of. Finally, a little something. And Scruff is just going to give that a pass. I wonder if he's thinking about the B right now. So this opens up an interesting point here, is not having any bombs and just shy on the money to buy bombs. You either have to gamble whether or not you're going to have any in the front of Kakuel or Blind's Hut, or you could just go sell the B, go down and buy 10, and you're not worried about that anymore. Oh, for both runners, the bee decided it was more interested in the bird than the bottle merchant. That's, that's unfortunate. So we're going to just go about this, in a little bit of a diversive way. Technolink's going to find bomb money, actually, so he'll have no problem, but I think Scruff's probably going to come up with some blueberries here in just a second. Well, he'll also find bomb money and no bombs. Bombos, however, on the sick kid could be important moving forward here. Actually, no. I mean, it's still too early. That sword, however, that's pretty important. Alrighty, so as we're going back and forth here through Kakariko, both runners have now purchased their bombs. We're going to see whether or not anything is going to change with the bombs. You could have absolutely nothing sitting in the back. You could have absolutely something sitting in the back of both of these locations here. I mean, so far, all we've got is a sword and a bombos, so if you really wanted to, you can, just ring of fire every single room you come across, although magic also at a premium right now. Something that might be useful for later, if Fire Rod, for example, happens to be an Ice Palace. Oh, that's a glove sitting in the back of Blindsut, so that's really good news for Technolink. Scruff's going to have to come back down and grab that at some point here. And we've got the Blue Cane sitting on the Bottle Merchant today, so already coming up with a little bit of safety. Again, not something we necessarily need this stage of the game, too early to tell. We're looking to try to open up what's going on in this world, so... Oh, now we have dueling canes. There's the Cane of Samaria, one of those items that you probably don't want to have to go searching for later on. Not yet known if that's going to be something that we need to finish this seed, however, it is a nice item to have. It's going to make things like Diver Down without having to go to bombs, Icebreaker, a couple other things that you can do with it that make the game just generally a little bit nicer. Now, Scruff is going to bomb back through here and pick up his glove. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the same play that Technolink is currently doing to check the back of Escape. And a lamp and the key. So Tech and Scruff are going to be able to take the key and just reverse all the way to Dark Cross, and you can just take the front of Escape anytime you want without having to worry about, hey, is this something I should be doing? And we already know this is an item because we've seen the map at a sanctuary. So the lamp being locked by a glove is... Basically, it just unlocks the entire castle with that glove, which is pretty nice because there's a good chunk of items in here, and they could be opening up the rest of the game here for us as well. Fortunately, just 10 arrows sitting in that chest, so let's see where Tech decides to go next with the items that we have known. Yeah, there is one other side effect that I should probably mention, that the sighting of that lamp, if we see a Moon Pearl and a cape or a sword before a hammer or another glove, you're talking about doing Aghanim for your Dark World access, and that's not something anybody really wants to do. Until you really have to. Ooh, nice full magic drop there. So while Tech pushes up the mountain, save the old man, get the spawn point, be able to check 2 items and have a visual look at a third, Scruff is going to go into the front of Hyrule Castle and run through the escape sequence proper here. See if there's any progression lying within. Alright, the old man gives you a tip for rescuing him from that dark and dreary place, and now he gets to go sit in his own dark and dreary place in his cave home, which you can respawn at any time after you've rescued him from the mountain cave. And Techno is going to have one other look here at what hides in Spectacle Rock Cave. Otherwise, there's not much we can do up here. And it's just 20 more rupees. The only other thing that maybe you might have done, but it really doesn't make too much of a difference now, because it's going to make your brain gears kind of turn a little extra hard there. Could have went into the Dark World portal and had a look at what's going on for your prizes in the Dark World, of course. Still would save and quit here. There's a fire rod sitting in the boomerang chest of escape. That's a pretty nice item to have here. And I got one more here down in Zelda Cell, and Scruff's going to have absolutely no problem getting through the ball and chain guard with that fire rod now in hand. Alright, and just a bug-catching net in Zelda Cell, so the castle has something we might probably need later on, but not necessarily anything we need immediately. So it might actually benefit Technolink to go back to that later on, perhaps with a mirror off the pyramid check. Saying no to the red boomerang, I'm not sure how I feel about that, my friend. Red boomerang's got some pretty interesting uses. Alright, so Scruff is going to join Technolink down here in South Shore. Techno is going to use his little Ring of Fire medallion. That Bombos will take care of those Moldorms, no problem whatsoever. The surplus magic definitely makes it a nice and easy way of getting through the room instead of having to deal with those little wigglers. And there's your progression. Oh my goodness, we're going fast and we're going far. We've got Boots and Hookshot. The Light World Hype Cave strikes again, everybody. And that's going to send Technolink straight back up the mountain. He's going to go check out Paradox Cave. Now, Scruff is also heading over. He'll get his Hookshot and his Boots in just a moment here. Alright, Moldorms on the good drop pack. We also saw they had a fairy and a full magic drop after that Bombos. And apparently the Octoroks are as well. There's the other Light World Hype Cave. Generally speaking, that these two, because of how dense they are early on, tend to have a lot of nice items for us. We got a Quake and a Blue Mail. Blue Mail, a nice safety moving forward here. Quake making sure that, you know, if we do have to go into Dungeon 6 or 7 in the Dark World, we have a pretty good shot at being able to do so once we have the other prerequisite items. Now, Tech opting not to take advantage of the hook shot and took a few swings here. Of course, pulls it back out and bops a couple of these mini Moldorms on the head. We unearthed a book in Paradox Cave. So that actually puts Desert fully in logic, with the Boots having a fire source, in this case 2, if you're Scruff, and also a glove. You can go ahead and take care of Crystal Lamulus right now. Alright, so just 1 rupee sitting there in the chest in Ice Rod Cave. Scruff is setting up a water walk, so I think he's planning on checking out what's going on in the Waterfall Ferry check here. Not enough money quite yet for Zora, but not really a bad decision to get this out of the way now. And outside of that book and that Quake Medallion and the safety of the Blue Mail, Paradox Cave really didn't have anything going for our runners here. So let's see if Tech's going to go down and chase the book into Desert. Alright, today the Waterfall Ferry is giving us free Kool-Aid. Red potions sitting in the bottle there after tossing an empty one in. And Scruff will at least have a look at what's in the Zora domain. That's, it's Zora money sitting on the Zora ledge. Now, isn't that just a slap in the face? Alright, retaining his water walk state, Scruff will run up to the hobo check now here and probably go from under the bridge towards Eastern is what my guess would be here. Is more bombs behind bombs in Agina's Cave. Now we're going to go over to Desert for Technolink. All right, so the visible item outside of desert is just a piece of heart here, nothing really too exciting. Scruff's going to make his way up the mountain. It's going to be a one-shot deal for him. He won't have the extra climb because he's got the hook shot now. He's also going to check this Bonk Rocks check. Technolink didn't have the boots the first time and just spawned back on the mountain. So this is new information, and it's just another piece of heart. So, again, Seed's holding out, and we have to figure out where it is. Well, the boots are telling us one thing. That this was a pretty linear seed so far, as the boots leading to the book, leading to... Well, the hook shot and the boots leading to the book, leading to a boots-locked desert. Yeah, hook shot and boots were next to each other in Mini Molderum Cave, in the right side checks, if I'm not mistaken. Scruff is showing us a little something here that you can do with the Cane of Samaria. If you're holding on to an object, the old man will feel compelled to actually press his pace faster instead of just shambling on behind you, so you can actually get through that marginally faster. Save yourself a second or two. Oh, there's your Moon Pearl, everybody. So that little sequence of chain events is turning out to be required here to get into our later game. And the second item of desert, so he has no reason to go ahead and finish this now. He can come back later anytime. And that means we're going to see either the front of the castle, which you've already seen, or possibly go over to Eastern, because that's really all we've got left here. Alright, Technolink's going to make his play into Escape, so let's see what Scruff decides to do after he picks up the book. Probably the same thing. He'll pick up a Moon Pearl out of Desert. I'd be curious to see if he goes ahead and finishes Desert, because you can't guarantee you're going to see a flute. We have no idea whether or not Myers a pendant, a crystal, whether the flute's required. It's too early to tell. Got not enough information. And Scruff does have that Fire Rod, which Technolink's going to show us again in just a minute here. So that will make his Lambo fight considerably easier than, well, Samaria or Fighter Sword, or, well, or Burna are the really only options that Technolink had at the moment. So it made sense for him to save and quit. Oh, look at Scruff using that red boomerang for good justice. As Paradox Bomb Jump. If you've never tried it as a player, it's honestly pretty free. It's, that is an extra sticky ledge over there that you can just kind of ledge slip on, end up in the corner, and go ahead and just, you know, set your bomb and wait for a couple seconds, and suddenly you're on the other side. To answer a question in chat, the only area we have not seen collectively from these two players is Sahasrara and the Eastern Palace area. We've already seen most of the fake flippering checks. Zora's in Logic, but we don't have the money for it quite yet. And otherwise, we've covered all of our ground and are starting to run kind of thin here on what we can do. Chat's saying it's probably a cape in Sahasrara's closet, and I'm thinking, oh, what if it's a sword? What if it's a hammer? What if there's a hammer in Easter and it's a logical double dip because you have to get your first bow out of the Dark World? Alright, Techno's doing a little bit of cleanup here. He's going to pick up the piece of heart that's waiting in the Bonk Rocks. Scruff is headed... I don't think either runner checked race game either. So this is interesting, because they both save and quit out of Kakariko Village proper. So now we're going to be able to see what's going on here, and that's not something that's getting picked up. So that leaves the library. And wouldn't you know, we've got a sword in the library. Aghanim is now in play for Dark World access. And we have West Dark World access with a glove and a hookshot. So let's see what we decide to do now, with only collectively 6 checks remaining, otherwise, Scruff might just be going straight up to the castle. Oh no, he's gonna go to Desert first. He still has to pick up his Moon Pearl. Honestly, this is probably a good idea. And Techno is setting up to go to Zora, because he's gone and done a Houlihan to pick up those extra 200-some rupees. This is interesting, folks. Zora could have a hammer or a glove, and he could also have absolutely nothing. Scruff giving us the expositional text as to why some of us here in the community call this the Fart Cave. And again, I'm still interested to see if Scruff decides to take out Lamulus while he's here. Alright, now Tech's set up for a water walk, and he is going to go ahead and continue on this path and do exactly what Scruff has already done. He's got the Moon Pearl, so even if he picks up, you know, a piece of heart. I don't believe I saw a piece of heart in Waterfall, but, you know, he's still going to be able to go in and get that check, and with 500 rupees, he's going to be able to get Zora and not have to come back this way. Oh, he did set up the double water walk, so whatever's on Zora's ledge, in which case he might choose to pick up those 300 rupees to have for Dark World if you decide to go to Pod early, for example. He's going to be able to do that. Although I think he's just setting up to water walk out of here. We'll see in just a second. Yep, he just wants to run on back. Alright, so Scruff in this room is going to pick up his Moon Pearl, and that's probably going to ring the alarm bells for him. Tech still has to go back and pick up his sword off of Library, unless there's something in the eastern area that'll draw us away from it. Again, 20-something minutes in. If you're just joining us, we are playing an open Defeat Ganon 7-7 today. No frilly settings, nothing that's going to be too difficult for our runners. Sending it back to simple. Tomorrow we're playing casual. Wednesday, we're turning it back to something a little bit more fun with, I believe, it's Inverted Key Sanity this week. So look forward to that. And looks like Scruff is absolutely intent on finishing Desert. That's not a bad call. And the other Boomerang, and picking it up, is Technolink, so he's going to have his ability to grab things at a distance, although not quite as much of a distance as the red one. Alright, Tech also remembering he has not done the south side of Kakariko. I don't know, chat. What would you pay for a blue Boomerang? Is 500 too much? Is 500 too little? 500 might be a good price for the red Boomerang because it has a lot more application, especially since chat has mentioned you could have Ancilla Splash deleted for those 300 rupees if you really wanted to. We have just enough gear to do so. Alright, Scruff in his Lamulus fight. Each one of these Lamulus heads is going to take 2 shots with the Fire Rod, or 8 swings with the Master Sword. I think it's 8. Or 4 spins, as those will do Tempered Sword damage. So Scruff's in pretty good shape here with this fight. And I would say being a little bit less equipped is probably why Technolink decided not to do it. Now, Tech is not thinking about going up to Agate just yet. He wants to get at least Sahasrara out of the way. But there's our first blood here at 24 minutes and 40 seconds. Our first crystal of the day. Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna finishing Desert Palace. The shovel. Not really something we want to see. But that is our third medallion, so if either Meyer or TR is a crystal, we are not worried about being able to get in by medallions today. Oh, and it looks like neither of these players really want to go up to the Dark World, because now you've got Scruff heading in the same direction as Link. Technolink. Alright, Eastern Palace. Can't finish this dungeon, although the entire front is in logic, because we have a lamp. We had a fire rod to get to the back, if we had a bow to go kill the Armos Knights. Unfortunately, we do not. And Scruff is not even going to take a dive into Eastern. He's going straight up to Castle Tower. Or he's going straight to the shovel. Ooh, this is interesting. If that shovel's got something... Look, a third sword in Eastern Palace. That's going to be nice moving forward here. Ah, it's just a bottle with some green goo. My goodness. Okay, so... There are many different ways to tackle that Stalfos spawn room here in Eastern Palace. I've never seen anyone use a bomb like that before. Alright, so here's Scruff going up to Agadam's Tower. That is the second item in Eastern. So you have the 50-50 whether the third item is locked by a bow or sitting in the big key chest. The ball and chain guard's not quite cooperating for Scruff there, but he's through it. And you know, most runners can probably handle this top dark section with a fire rod. Logically, it requires a lamp. We happen to have both. So this is going to be a pretty easy breeze through for Scruff, and that's just a compass. The Armos Knights have an item. And, what are you doing, Technolink? Actually, yeah, he's going to grab this key and go to Rupee Basement for the pod money. That's a good call, chat. Because this room only has, 90 rupees, but getting above that 100 mark to go to pod early is probably a good call here. Even though we have West Dark World available with the hookshot. And that seals it. We have a Forced Aghanim Seed here on this open. And Tech will check the shovel first before he goes up the castle tower. He does have a sword advantage right now that Scruff is absolutely going to have later on when he goes to finish Eastern Palace. But right now, that's a comfortable little thing to have. Alrighty, chat. How many of those blue little ball attacks are we going to see from Aghanim today? Could it be 2? Could it be 6? we have a God Aga? Are we gonna get 0? Leave your guess in chat. And let's find out as Scruff is in the cutscene now. Alright, Aga will always open up with that glowing energy ball attack, and from there it's a 50-50 chance whether or not you get that dispersing blue ball attack or another energy ball attack. After 4 attacks, he goes back into the top center and goes and hits a lightning, which will zap in different random arcs across the bottom of the screen here, as you will see. And the cycle continues. Tech hot on his heels, although getting a little bit low on the HP. He does have the red potion from Waterfall, if he wants to take advantage of that. And there it is. Aghanim is down. We are going to spawn right here at the top of the pyramid. Let's have a look at what our Dark World map is. No? He was so quick to check the map coming out of Sank, and now not even thinking about the map at all. Alright, I do like this call to go up here, though. Get Catfish out of the way, and then just run back down and go to West Dark World, perhaps. Alright, Catfish, one of the first checks that are available coming off the pyramid, just 20 rupees. Normally, in any other circumstance, if you had a mirror, you could just save and quit right back to the top of the pyramid. We haven't quite uncovered that item yet, so Scruff is going to take the long way back over here and hook on over towards the west side of the Dark World. And Technolink is going to have the same Aghanim fight with maybe different positions that Scruff Ninja Tuna just went through. He's got the swag net out. So there's quite a bit we can do over here right now. Again, still no idea what the prizes are, as neither of our runners have looked at the Dark World map. Scruff is going to have a look at the bumper ledge on his way by. Check to see if this is anything we need later on. It's just another piece of heart. Don't quite need those. And here is our map check. Green pendant pod, a pendant on thieves, 5-6 sitting in Turtle Rock, and everything else is, of course, a blue crystal. So, that pretty much means that Pyramid Fairy's dead. And we're going to go straight into Skull Woods here, which is honestly a pretty good call since the Fire Rod came in rather early. Now it's time to see where Technolink decides to go here. And it looks like, you know, that play for Rupee Basement and Eastern, that side Rupee room with the 90, is definitely looking like it was preparation for what's about to come here, as Tech is going to have his first gander into Pendant Pod. Now, it is Green Pendant Pod, so that could come into play a little bit later on. Not quite something we need to worry about just yet. But if he does find something in here, like a mitts, a hammer, a bow, it's going to make things a little bit more cozy getting throughout other places of the game here. Ooh, pot is not locked by a bow just quite yet. Depends on what the item is in the arena and Stalfo's basement checks. You are guaranteed to get 4 keys minimum out of the front of pod, because of how many locked doors there are. The game kind of forced by logic to do that for us. And now Scruff going right back to Mothula here. Gonna have Master Sword and a few shots with the Fire Rod to take care of business here. Ooh, nice full magic drop, so now it's a full bar of Fire Rod, 8 shots total. And there's another key, so we can get all the way to the back of pod right now, just not the right side. But that's not going to stop Technolink from going ahead and doing that, as Scruff takes care of Moth in rather quick and grandiose fashion. Gets the first item out of Skull Woods as a prize here. And Scruff extends his lead on the prize board from 1 to 2 crystals. To answer a question in chat, there are 6 total keys in Palace of Darkness, for a total of 6 doors, including 1 door that locks Helmasaur King. And there's another key. And there's another key. So that's that guarantees an item in the location where the big key normally would be. Now, it could be a dungeon item like a map or a compass. And Scruff's going to go ahead and find that other item here out of Crystal Skull Woods. We do have 1. There are a total of 2. So this is kind of a, not really a wild goose chase, but there's a lot of checks in here for extra keys, map, compass, and big key that he might uncover first. Or he could find that. Okay. That's kind of important. So the game wanted you absolutely to go to Skullwoods first, West Dark World through the hookshot across the river there. Yes, we did have 2 players out of 2 here. Look at the Lumberjack Ledge. There was a red rupee sitting up top there, so I would not expect either of them go back for that. And so far, I don't believe Technolink has picked up the big key just yet, so... He does have all of the pod keys, however. And the big key is either in Dark Maze or in its vanilla location, so we'll see what he decides to do with this knowledge. Scruff has taken a dive into Pendant Thieves Town. 1 item in front. Chat correcting me, I believe we have seen the big key. Okay. And setting up that Death Warp as we're still without a mirror. That's a second shield for us, however. Not really something that we'll complain too loudly about. Oh. Well then, I say the mirror and it shows up. Let's reflect on that for a moment, because that's a required item out of a pendant dungeon. I take absolutely no responsibility for the items that appear right after I mention them. Full disclosure. Scruff is deciding to go to the back of Thieves Town here. It is a pendant, but you only have a maximum of 3 items in front, and I do believe we've only seen a couple. So other than that mirror, Pod not really seeming to have too much for us here. Just a couple extra heart containers, which puts Technolink in 2 rows of hearts. Very comfortable, very healthy seed going on here. He is probably going to follow the same footsteps as Scruff, but he's going to have a couple extra checks along the way that he can choose to make here. He's got Graveyard Legend King's Tomb that he can do on the way by. What? I don't know what it is with the randomizer putting those vanilla 3 bombs in the attic of Thieves Town, but it's happened to me a lot lately. And we've seen it here again today. I guess we want to make darn sure that you have bombs to blow up the floor so that you can fight blind in just a moment. Yeah, it's Technolink that found the mirror in the dark maze of Pod. The hammer, on the other hand, was in Pot Prison in Skull Woods. And there's your other dungeon item. So, yeah, right now the hammer is probably, since it... Oh, hello! Well, isn't that a place for an ice rod? Okay. Well, that's 2 pendant dungeons that have been required for a major progression item already on this seed. See, now all we need is, like, mitts on Moldworm or something. It better not happen, I'll be so mad. Alright, so I don't think there's a circumstance in which you don't do Thieves Town after the hammer with the couple items that are in front here. Could mitts be on pedestal? The answer is yes, they could. The only situation... Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that's not good. Technolink's going to have a full clearable Swamp Palace after he does Skull Woods, and that might draw him in that direction instead of going into Thieves Town. That's not a good spot for Scruff either, because you absolutely need the mirror to get there, and the mirror, of course, is not in a good... What? Why? Never mind the mitts on Ped. Ped is now, Ped can now only be, I think, flute or a bow at this point. So with the knowledge of those mitts, Technolink is going to have the option to take the Smith chain down to Swamp Palace after he's done with Skullwoods and possibly Thieves Town. I would hope that he goes in. The ledge on... yeah, well, Ped can still be a bow. It can be the second bow. It could be a bow-locked bow. That is possible. Well, that's red mail, so, yeah, with Tempered Sword already known, if the silvers are on pedestal, we're absolutely not picking it up. And Technolink's actually going to give us a read right now. So if you want to see a pedestal pull on this seed, chat, I would start hoping for a flute here. Ah, no, pedestal is dead. Okay. Alright, so Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, with Frog in tow, is going to go ahead and take this all the way down to Hype Cave, probably. Alrighty, this 5-check cave has a history in our community, but lately, a more modern day, it's either really good or absolutely forgettable. Well, it starts out with 10 arrows, which is absolutely forgettable. There's our third shield, and Scruff's second, and absolutely nothing sitting in Hype Cave today. See, I told you, Light World Hype Caves are absolutely Mini Moldorm and Paradox. That's where all the fun stuff is. And with the mitts now, he's going to be able to get King's Tomb, but this isolates Graveyard Ledge, so it's going to put Scruff in an interesting position for when he does find the mirror, how and when he chooses to chase it. Alright, Technolink with his first crystal at the 45-minute mark, just about 46. Alright, Scruff has finally made it home from his long journey. Well, the Smith did. Scruff took him there. And we'll see what this has for us in just a moment. And they're counterfeiters again today. I wouldn't spend that. That's not legal tender, my friend. Alright, with the mitts, Scruff's going to be able to come back into the Dark World and pick up the purple chest and do hammer pegs, although there's the hammer for Techno. And Tech? Tech, what are you doing? To answer a question from chat, the Ice Rod is sitting in the Thieves' Town Big Chest. So things have really kind of unfolded in a big way here once we got Dark World access. We've got a quick way around the Dark World, although we don't have a flute to get from place to place just yet. Oh boy, that's a mushroom. Fetch quests intensify indeed. Right now we're really looking only for a few things. We need a bow to kill the Armos Knights for our Crystal out of Eastern. We need a flute to be able to access Misery Mire. And we're pretty much good on everything else. So here's Technolink's dive into Thieves' Town, and, you know, given that we had... We have a mirror, so if he doesn't like what he sees in the front, he could just dive out, and that would put him in an Ice Rod hunt later on. Oh, Scruff's gonna go turn in the mushroom, just right away. That's interesting. Oh, Techno, don't. No! Okay, that's not good for Technolink. That, that Ice Rod location is absolutely not in a good spot for Technolink later on. And, the mushroom just turned into, well, exploding mushrooms of the round variety. Alright, so Technolink's about to pick up his red mail out of the dig game, and Scruff deciding to take this Mitsun hookshot combination, go over to Dark Death Mountain, where we have quite a bit of checking to do here. All right, so with that dead rock position, just despawn him, get him out of the way. With that book, we're going to be able to read Ether at the very least and have a look in Pendant Hera. Hey, there's our fourth sword, everybody. So that means that Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna is absolutely guaranteed to find his fourth sword, as the big key came after the sword on the right side of Eastern Palace's front. Scruff could not read the pedestal because he didn't have the mirror when he cleared up Skull Woods, so it's interesting and feasible that he's going to clean up Tower of Hera while he's here. And Tech setting up for a fake powder with that mushroom. So I would expect to see him turn that in at some point in his travels as well. And the bat, like most of the wildlife in this game, just another scam. Now, Molor with Tempered Sword is just kind of a sad fight. One spin, one slash, and the worm goes tumbling down. And Scruff is having a few issues here. He's got a poke, and he's going to have to edge guard himself, which he does very well here. And Scruff will pick up his second pendant. Alright, so the dungeon lead now is 4-1 in favor of Technolink, where the one dungeon that Tech has done is Skull Woods, and the 4 out of the 4 that Scruff has done, 2 of them are pendants. Although he does have the option now to go into into Turtle Rock, and I believe if you're still looking for mirror flippers and flute, this is probably a good decision to make. We as viewers know that none of those, 2 of those 3 items cannot be here, as they're already found in the other screen. Oh, there's your bow, though, so that will put us a flute away from knowledge on how to finish this seed. And I thought for sure it was about to drop from the sky, but it's just more blueberries. This is where I would say, well, it's blue. To restate for chat, the ice rod is in the Thieves Town big chest. Technolink did check the front 4 items and then opted to mirror out, whereas Scruff actually went and finished the dungeon, not having pedestal knowledge just yet. So that bow is actually very interesting here. It could put Scruff in a position where he does Turtle Rock, and then, comes back down and goes either over to Pod or Eastern, depending on which order he wants to do them in. And if he finds a flute, that will absolutely make this quite the interesting tilt here, because he's going to get mirror blocked and have quite a bit open. All right, just as I said was going to happen, we've got Technolink going into Swamp Palace, which is a crystal that we need to clear right now. Is a dungeon that's being gated by the mirror for Scruff. Chat is pointing out a worst-case scenario for Scruff here. What if the flute is in Mimic Cave? Well, for one, that'd be awful. And for two, it wouldn't be terminal, but it would absolutely be a bad, bad spot for Scruff, seeing as he's already in Turtle Rock right now and will not be able to check Mimic Cave until he goes to Pod. He would have to come back through and take the long way back to just one check for one item. That's like, this is worse than Hera Basement, if that's the case. And Hera Basement has that tile room cutscene you have to wait out. I think that's a little premature here, however. We still have quite a bit to go in terms of what's open to our runners. And Technolink is deciding to say no thanks to the left side of Swamp. We'll see the back here in a moment. Now, if I'm Scruff here and I'm going through Turtle Rock looking for 3 items, do I steal this key or do I check it? Or did we not see the big key? Because I honestly did not pay enough attention to the left side of the screen. I believe that would indicate we have a vanilla big key. No, it's an item. Cool. Okay. Okay, big key was in the first check. Thank you, chat. These are both kind of spicy dives in terms of how many items are available in each dungeon, and so far, I mean, we still have to wait for Scruff to get to Laser Bridge, but Technolink hasn't really unearthed anything out of Swamp Palace that I've seen. So other than clearing this as a crystal, this could be a go mode dungeon for Scruff later on and save him some time. Alright, and that's technically picking up his second crystal off of Argus here at the 58-minute mark. And in just a moment, Scruff will be headed down to Laser Bridge. And we'll get to see whether or not it has our coveted flute or a second bow or something. I know we saw the big key in the back swimming pool of Swamp, so Tech is going back in to at least get the big chest out of the way here. And we are going to see a second dive left side, so there's... It's interesting. I don't know what compels a runner to skip left side and then come back in. I know it's trendy to just never do left side of Swamp until it's your last location, but it's also at the same time just, if you don't do it the first go, you're coming back in and spending more time on it kind of play. So I'm not sure if I agree with coming back in. If you skipped it, just skip it. But you're still looking for 3 items in the case of Technolink. Both runners are looking for 3 items right now. So honestly, it just kind of makes sense with so much else open to just kind of, you know, if you get your dungeon items, sure, you know there's items on the left side, but still. Scruff is going to face off against Trinex, so this will be a dungeon he doesn't have to come back into. Unless there's progression of Mimicate, which we know can only be 1 item in this case. Alright, making quick work of Trinex is Scruff, and that is a 5/6 crystal that we can put on the board here. So actually, Pyramid Fairy is open right now to Scruff, and he can possibly find a flute in there if he decides to go over to Eastern Palace. I would expect that he goes to do Spike Cave on the way out. And it looks like he is setting up with exactly that. And Tech is about to go into the Cave of a Million Disappointments and open up 5 of such disappointments. There's his mirror shield. So from here, you have to consider what we have open. And that's kind of the point I was making when he was doing Left Side Swamp. It was just so much open. The only thing that you could really hope to find there, maybe the Ice Rod or a bow. We do have Ice Palace that we can full clear here. And that is precisely what Technolink is going to do. And going over to Eastern to get the other 5/6, that is precisely what Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna is going to do. Now for Scruff, this is actually pretty good because he can choose to go over to Pod as well after he's done with Eastern. If he gets a flute, that might draw him away from Pod, which wouldn't be quite good, but he's already done he's already done Desert, so he would have to come back to Pod eventually for that mirror. Otherwise, he's going to be in a pretty good shape moving forward. I like Cave 86. In the map, it is Cave 73. I think we want to 86 that cave from existence, is what he's trying to tell us here. That's pretty clever. So Scruff here is going to go through Eastern. Again, there is an item on Armos Knights that we do not know yet, as we have just recently uncovered a bow. He is going to have his 4th sword when he leaves, which isn't quite necessary, but it's going to be nice moving forward here. Heck, I was going to say, please get off the mirror when you go to Icebreak. Thank you. So that key is interesting in Ice Palace, because depending on where the big key and the other key are, we could have a hookshot lock dungeon here. And the big key is on the right side of Ice Palace, so, well, that's interesting. Oh, there's the flute. It's in Ice Palace, and now we, as viewers, are in what we like to call no mode, where we know where all the items are we need to complete the seed. We're just waiting for the runners to go find them all, and that's a pretty good spot for a flute. Oh boy. So yeah, so that Mimic Cave play is not going to come back to haunt Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna for not having checked it. It's going to be a question as to when he does ice and what he chooses to do afterward. Though I would expect him to do Eastern and then go straight back down to Palace of Darkness, and he'll be getting his mirror relatively soon here. Now, for Technolink, things are a little bit more complicated because he has orphaned that Ice Rod in Thieves Town. So he's got a lot more ground he needs to cover before he goes back for that. Alright, so here's Technolink dropping into his fight with Cold Stare. 8 shots with the Fire Rod. Cold Stare pretty easy to pin down in the corner, or you could just spam Fire Rod with half magic and he just melts. Just like that. Well done, Tech. And Technolink is going to have his 3rd crystal. And we have Scruff with his Armos Knights fight. Again, another one of these set up and knock him down with a bunch of arrows just being spammed out of the bow. Just short on the left side, and it's bombs as the drop. But that's his second 5/6 crystal and his 4th overall. So he maintains his dungeon lead 4-3 in terms of what's required here. Alright, as they plan their next move, I will invite everybody here, Friends of Speed Gaming, to follow these two runners as they're putting on a great show. These two are, I would say, friendly rivals. They do punt against each other every once in a while, so there's always a little bit of side talk and bicker when we have a daily race between these two. It's good to see the grudge match actually on the screen, so make sure you give them a good, hearty follow. And of course, the runner's command is busted. But yeah, their Twitch names are as you see on the screen. There's the flute for Technolink. I'm gonna be curious as to whether or not he pushes through the mire area looking for Ice Rod or not. He does have to go back and finish Landmalus, which he can now do easily with the... he can now do easily with the mirror. I'm pretty sure we just watched him flute from 3-3. Raise your hand if you've never done that. I should see no hands up. I think we've all done that once or twice. Alright, this is exactly what Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna needs to do here, is go into pod right after Eastern, and he will be rewarded with an in-logic mirror very soon here. See, what I find interesting here, though, is if Technolink finds the second bow somewhere, say right here in Mireshed, probably not going to happen, but, you know, if it does, it puts him in a much comfortable position over having to go up the mountain to find a bow, to finish TR, to go back to Eastern with a bow, to go back up the mountain. Back and forth is never fun. Yeah, that is a problem that could happen, Sniper, is we could see Technolink go into Turtle Rock looking for the Ice Rod, and the Ice Rod will not be there. And that could cost him quite a bit of time if that is what he chooses to do here. Now, going ahead to clean up Mire before going back to Desert is honestly a good play. Having the flute, you'd rather get your Light World dungeon done second so that you can just flute away from it. Alright, so here's Misery Mire, another one of those dungeons that has way too many keys and not enough doors, apparently. I'm not having a bad go of the Wizrobe room here in Mire 2. And let's see where the big key wants to hide in here. This is the second most fun dungeon to be hiding a big key in, just because how many different places. With that extra key in hand, Scruff opting to do a hammer yump, and that's going to put him right at the mirror. And I think he'll continue and probably finish the dungeon since he has the ability to do so. Yeah, the big key in Mire showing up early is probably not something you really want to see when you're still looking for items. Of course, it's always a God Mire when you're looking for stuff, and never a God Mire when you're in go mode. So, that's gonna put Technolink on the hunt here. He will do left side, and then I wouldn't be surprised to see him just go straight to the big chest and Vitreous. Most people don't want to have to wait out cutscene. He might do it, actually. Be that thorough. Yeah, he's going to cutscene. There's speculation in chat as to what's really left for our runners to do here. Technolink's in a very precarious position. Right now, after he finishes up Misery Mire, all he'll really have left is Dark Death Mountain. He's got to clean up Lamulus, which he'll do while he's here. West side of the top of Light Mountain, where he does Hera and Ether, possibly Spike Cave on the way out. He could dive Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod, which wouldn't be very comfortable. Finish off Helma for the green pendant, and then the last thing he has is the Ice Rod sitting in the big chest at Thieves Town, which I still think would be a last location in this case. Now for Scruff, based on his current item set, all he can really logically do is chase the mirror after the green pendant, or fake Flipper into ice, which would get him a flute, which would tell him that the flippers are available elsewhere because the flute would be locked by having them. So while Technolink's kind of picking it up in terms of the dungeons getting knocked down, I would say Scruff has a bit of an advantage here. That is also Scruff's third pendant, so if he decides to do so, he can go ahead and visit the pedestal for that little piece of love that's waiting on there for us. Which, he does have the book. He just didn't have the ability to check it with the mirror coming out of Skull Woods, which is why he doesn't have the knowledge that it's dead just yet. I would be more willing to hazard that he'll turn in the green pendant and go elsewhere first, now that he has the mirror. And here comes Technolink for his Vitreous fight. Vitreous hits like a truck, although we do have red mail and a lot of HP, so we're just going to sit in the goo and take one heart at a time, just spin our way through the eyeballs, which melt to gold sword damage. And now Tech is in that situation where he's got to not take a nip from the big eyeball here. Alright, you saw that was another bottle sitting on Sahasrara, so the green pendant itself not really being of any value, but that mirror out of pod, of course, very much required. And playing keep away with the eye to slash him down. Well played by Technolink. He'll take his Mire Crystal and go back to desert and clean up Landmo. I would believe this is the Pyramid Fairy fight. Well, I mean, if you want to tussle with the fairy, just throw a bottle at her. She'll be nice and give it back. This will be the Pyramid Fairy check for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. Again, he's still looking for flippers and a flute. One nice thing in Agus Seeds, or Seeds where you're in all dungeons and you've already done Castle Tower, is you can just take this bomb right up through here and, well, look at that. You're right at the pyramid. That was easy. Does require you to have a mirror, of course. And Pyramid Fairy paying out, as expected, with absolutely nothing. Okay. So this leads to an interesting decision for Scruff and where to go next, and it looks like he might be setting up for... Oh, he wants to see what item is sitting on the floating... the little island in Hylia, which we saw was rupees earlier, so... Actually, this could be the swamp play. Well, he doesn't have flippers. So this is a K45 play for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna right now. Or it's Bombos. Alright, so Technolink is going to come up here and get pulled into his mirror portal because he went back in iframes to pick up that heart container. But he's probably going to get his fourth sword off of the Ether Tablet just now. And this is not going to feel very good for Techno if he decides to go into Turtle Rock, because we know the Ice Rod is just not there. He will, however, find a bow. And if he decides to make checks before TR, because in this case you absolutely would. Still looking for the Ice Rod at an hour 20 in. How many times have we seen the key under the mat sort of thing to have it pay off? It's like, in terms of... we haven't found the other bow yet. So, regardless, this ended up being a required play to get back up the mountain. So this is going to pay off only in small dividends for Technolink, but if he does take the dive into TR, that's just going to hurt. And finding both items in Hera and knowing that the pedestal is not going to have the answer, he's out. Chat asking, did Scruff skip the flute? No, presently Scruff has not found the flippers. The flute is in Ice Palace. Scruff was a little bit late to the mirror that was sitting in Palace of Darkness. The flippers themselves are in Graveyard Ledge. So if he decides to go into a fake flipper to ice, then that would get him a flute. but would also tell him that the flippers are in the one spot he hasn't checked. I would be worried about him going to the pedestal before going to Graveyard Ledge here. Because that's what it looks like he wants to do. Scruff, if you're doing this, you better blind pull it, because the chat won't forgive you if you don't. Alright, Tech is going to pick up his bow, and not be very happy about it. And he'll make the other checks in here hoping for something. Oh, there it is. He is blind pulling the pedestal. I am so proud of you, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. All for a piece of heart. That doesn't feel too good, but that's always worth all of the hype that chat loves to see it. You know, it was worth it. It gave him an extra heart container. Oh my goodness. Okay, so luckily not an Agapad seed required. The Aga was required, as we've seen Mitzinvu and a Hammer in Skullwood, so... Oh, Technolink has decided to dip out of the mountain. He's going directly over... I would say this is a pod play, pod Eastern. He's going to go kill Helmasaur and turn in the green pendant. Everybody channel your inner rogue and tell him, hey buddy, we stole a nice item. It's in the big chest in our dungeon. Oh, Scruff going directly to where he needs to go. That is going to put him in one item from go, where the flute is literally on his path. So this is functionally Scruff's go mode item. The Flippers here in Graveyard Ledge. Alright, having already been in Eastern, we're going to see Technolink decide to take the dive to Armos Knights, get that crystal out of the way. And it looks like exactly as Chad is discussing right now, he's going to go straight to Ice before Swamp, and he'll get to go mode pretty much both. Because once you pick up that flute, you're done. The flute, I believe, was in the Freezor check. As our tracker, Professor Renderer, has said, yes, that is exactly where it was. So... that is just chef's kiss for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna getting out of the end of the parts of the seed here. Alright, so a tale of two very interesting finds that kind of shaped the way this race has gone. Very divergent paths here. Technolink was in pod first, found a mirror, and was able to locate flippers leading to Flute in Ice Palace, all kinds of fun stuff there. But Technolink did not chase the hammer into Thieves Town, where the big chest contained our coveted Ice Rod. And Scruff did. So Scruff is not having to check anywhere near as much after not going to pod for so long. Even though he was late to the mirror, he's going to be our first runner here in go mode in just a moment. Alright, there's the Eastern Palace Crystal for Technolink, and he's got every Crystal Dungeon done except for TR. So it is officially an Ice Rod hunt for him. And at 124.35, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna has found the Ocarina of Heroes Land, and he is headed to Cold Stare in go mode with a gold sword. This is going to be one smooth cold stare fight. Listen, chat, you're going to throw tomatoes at me for making puns. All y'all are doing the same thing I would have done just a minute ago. Opting for Bombos is to open the fight here, probably just for sake of convenience for using that half-magic Fire Rod to its greatest potential. Yeah, just spam that Fire Rod and Cold Stare melts apart. Oh man, Scruff's going to be able to go mode both Swamp, and Mire was a God Mire, so he's going to be able to go straight to Vitreous as well. Alright, conscious about his arrows, Technolink does decide to make sure he's got plenty in case he does, end up taking use of that bow later. You don't want to go into GT with not that many arrows, especially if you end up finding the big key behind Ice Armos, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But resource management also very important as you run through here. This was a great seed altogether. All kinds of fun finds and divergent locations, and you saw two very skilled runners here in Scruff and Technolink making quite a path. A unique path for both players through finding basically everything they need to complete the seed. Alright, Scruff's gonna hail his taxi here. Technolink has picked up the green pendant from Helmasaur and will undoubtedly be turning that in a moment. He's done with Eastern, so that's probably going to be his cue to flute away. And now it's down to, do you trust that the Ice Rod is in TR here? Or do you go straight to TR and just hope that the seed is being kind? And I have to wonder what is going through Technolink's head as he makes this green pendant check. What gamble do you take? Alright, hailing his Uber is Technolink. And he is headed back to Kakariko. This is the Thieves Town play, I'm sure, and this is exactly what he needs to do. To answer a question from chat, Techno has managed to dodge Turtle Rock. He has opened it, but he's not yet gone in. So this is absolutely going to put Techno in go mode once he gets down to that big chest and put him in a pretty good spot to finish up in relatively close fashion with Scruff here. However, Scruff is a full Turtle Rock ahead of Technolink. The way I say it's starting to sound kind of cliche when I do. There are two kinds of runners. The ones that are extra thorough and check everything. The ones who will never leave Hera Basement. The ones who will never leave Spike Cave when they're up the mountain. The ones who will absolutely check whatever's in their path every single time. And then there's the one that says, alright, I made this skip, I'm never coming back until it's my last location. Well, Technolink is kind of hybridizing this today. He skipped out on Thieves Town, and he's come back to it, and it is going to reward him. It's going to feel real frustrating to see the Ice Rod sitting in that chest when he finally does get there. But he's going to be glad that he came back. I'll tell you that. Scruff showing off that spooky action at a distance that everyone seems to love with that fire rod, taking advantage of some altitude values to hit a switch that's quite a bit off of away from where Link's sprite is. And here's the Vidi fight. And you don't even need to spin at this point. It's easier to just get double hits, but you can just stand on the edge and slash away and you'll still get the eyeballs. Either way, this is absolutely free. And here's that moment. Let's see how many rage slashes we get from Techno Link here. Aw, oh, man, 0? Come on! And that will put Techno Link in go mode at 130 and change, and that will put him up the mountain and go straight to TR. Alright, this is a close one, folks. We have Scruff still has to go back to do Swamp Palace, which is a go mode dungeon, and then climb back up the mountain. Techno Link just has to go through Turtle Rock, which for him is a go mode dungeon, and the big key's in the front. But that's still a bit of time investment because of how long of a dungeon it is. Oh man, this is going to be an interesting set of time. You've got Swamp Palace on the left, you've got TR on the right. The Swamp has a mountain climb, and TR is right next to GT. They're going to be neck and neck going up the gauntlet, I'm sure. So hold on to your seats. This is going to get real fun in about a minute or two. Alright, as we're seeing these two go through their Go Mode dungeons, I'm once again going to invite you to follow these two runners. Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, very talented, placed well in the Plando tournament. Not a secret where his talents lie, as he's played through a number of daily races. This is not an unfamiliar name to you. Techno Link, he's been around, he does a lot of stuff. He's actually recently dove into SMC3. He plays the daily races. These two have a rivalry. This is effectively a grudge match. So there's always a little bit of jawing going on in the race room before they get together and download the seed. So I can only imagine what this interview is going to be like in about 10 minutes or so when we get them up here. They've been putting on quite a show. Send them your love. Huge shout-outs to Speed Gaming for the Daily Race series. And of course, wouldn't be keeping track of everything without my dear friend Professor Renderer sitting on the tracker, making sure all those buttons are lit up. And if I miss something, he catches it for me. So, and of course, chat. Love you, chat. Without you, we wouldn't have a race to put on. So, thanks for being here on this Monday. Oh, Scruff has the gold sword. You can do poke strats. Oh, this is beautiful. When it's done well, it feels so good to get this kill. Hey everybody! That is Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna's 7th crystal, and that means we're going to be headed up to Ganon's Tower after a brief mountain climb here. that also means we have a big key to find, and if you want to guess any number, any whole rational integer between 1 and 22, as to where you think the big key of Ganon's tower may be hiding out today. Hey, Technolink, you might have hit that if you had the red boomerang. Just saying. He does get to bypass Laser Bridge with that second key, which is very nice. Oh, what the worst enemy in the game. I'm telling you, the Dead Rock is the worst enemy in the entire game. And Mr. Scruff just showed you why. Oh, Scruff is going to have like a 15-20 second lead coming out here, I think. No, more than that. Does Technolink have the Ice Rod? Boy, I hope so, or he wouldn't be going to Trinex. Yes, he did. He did go back and pick it up. Sometimes the tracker software likes to take a coffee break when we never asked it to. That's not renderer's fault. That's just technology being technology. And there goes Trinex for Technolink for his 7th crystal. Alrighty here. We have Mr. Scrub Ninja Tuna entering GT at 136.52. And he's decided to go to the right side first. You always hope that the big key is in here, thus it's named Hope Room. Alright, Torch not having anything. And today, everybody, Bob lives. If we have to go down to see him, he will be in his usual healthy form. Alright, so here's Technolink opening up his GT. And I think Technolink would probably make the same routing choice that Scruff is doing here to go Hope Room and then hard left, but we'll see if he decides to do something different. So that is almost a full minute lead for Scruff, and Technolink's going left. Alright, 8 checks in and no big key to be found just yet. See, if I'm Technolink here, I've done this only planning to go to Compass Room, but if he takes it all the way down, that could actually end up being important as well. Hey, the silvers are in Randomizer Room. That's going to save Scruff some time on the Ganon fight. And make some people that play these dailies wonder, why are the silvers always in GT? Why do they always seem to be in GT? Or on Planet Zibis, as we've been doing a number of tournament qualifier seeds over the past few weeks. Qualifier seed later today will be on Speed Gaming. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not sure which channel. I'm not sure who's running. We're not told that until we're getting ready to gather. But watch out for main tournament, folks. That's coming up very soon here. Oh no! Not only is the big key in Compass Room, but Scruff has dropped and left Bob's chest behind. And that's going to put Technolink in a pretty sizable advantage here, as Scruff's going to go down and around. Yeah, a little burn of safety strats here from Technolink, making things a little bit more comfortable to just dash through instead of having to fight with. Oh, we pulled out the powder and made a little slime out of the Stalfos. That's interesting. These Stalfos do like to wander away from you if you're using projectile weapons like the bow. This Zazek also likes to do it here in Gauntlet 3. And Scruff, now having his big key, he will join Technolink in the climb. So we'll look to see his Gauntlet strats in just a moment. And Tech opting to take his green potion going into the Lammo fight. And the nice part about Gold Sword is it does the same level of damage that the Fire Rod does, so it's just a quick slash if you happen to only hit once to knock one down. A couple of the most satisfying rooms in the game with the Keen of Samaria taking out Wizrobes 1. Let's see if Wizrobes 2 plays just as nice as Scruff enters the gauntlet here. And he is going to utilize the bow as a weapon to help clean up these rooms a little bit quicker. He's going to have the ability to make up a little bit of time here, as Silver's pretty much one-shot everything in these rooms. There's still one obstacle before Aghanim 2 that these two runners have to face against, and that is the ultimate Trolldorm of Ultimate Destiny sitting up at the tower. And he can either be very kind, or he can knock you down a couple times, and each time you knock down, you have to climb back up and try him again, just like in Tower of Hera. And there is the single arrow, technically undoubtedly looking for Silvers to try to even up the score if, you know, he knows that they're up here and his opponent will also find them. Unfortunately, Ganon's last few possessions here seem to be a treasure trove. You got the single arrow, you got 300 rupees, you know, all kinds of exciting stuff. And Scruff is just right on his heels right now. He's about to get into Wizrobes 2. So he is only about 5 rooms away from Techno. Had a much faster gauntlet with the way he was going, tearing through there. Our tracker professor pointing out the last check in the game that you would grab from Moldorm 2 happened to be absolutely vanilla today. 20 rupees in the final check. That's always cute. Oh, this is perfect for a triple. Ah, just a little off there. Come on. Come on, Aga. Play nice here. Now, Scruff having everything he needs. He's not going to be bothering with any of these checks. He's just going straight on. And that is Aghanim 2 done and out of the way for Technolink. Brief cutscene here before he falls into the dance with the big pig. You know, sometimes with that last check post Moldorm, you're just like, I'm gonna open this just to make someone out there smile. Alrighty. Another one of those really close-in patterns for Scruff, and it didn't pan out, but he does get a double-double to open up the Saga fight, which is pretty nice. This is gonna be a very close finish. Ganon being a little bit teleport happy. Aghanim 2 falling down for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. And there's Phase 4's last slash for Techno Link. He's going into the final little set here. Gets that torch glitch. It is 12 spins to win. And Scruff right on his heels. Halfway. Oh, we're getting right into that Ring of Fire and getting some dash strats in to just erase Phase 2 for Ganon. That is beautiful. Dancing around the fire bats. Scruff is right there. He just has to get through Phase 3. And as I stated earlier, Ganon was a little teleport happy today. And down goes Ganon for Techno Link. He's just got to face off against this 1x3 bridge that'll spawn here in just a moment. That's the only thing keeping him from the Triforce, and we'll see. Can he get there? Yes, he can. Let's see some GGs in chat for Techno Link, finishing first place on our restream. First place overall on race time with a time of 1:46.43. And right behind him, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna with the triple on the silvers. Oh, let's see another bout of GGs for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, finishing second with a 1:47.12. And right behind both of them is our third place finisher with a 1:47.46. Techno Link's time was 1:46.43. And I would be more than happy to have these two fantastic runners join me up here in commentary. Let's see if they would be willing to do so. Who would have thought that two different players having two different completely just absolutely wholly divergent routes are going to finish within 30 seconds of each other. Absolutely well played seed by both of our runners here today, and a fun divergent little open. So fun. All right. We've got them in the waiting room. And joining me here in commentary are our runners today, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, Techno Link. GG, guys. What'd you think of this one?
GG.
Oh, this is a fun all dungeon seed. Wink, wink, wink.
As soon as you grab the pendant off of Helmasaur, I'm like, watch, he's gonna go pull the pedestal while he's making all his mirror checks. And I'm like, you better, if you're going up to pedestal, you better blind pull that. And you did not disappoint.
Oh yeah, blind pull or no pull, man. Come on.
Wait, you pull pet?
Yeah.
Well,
So
then you win.
So what happened that made this race so interesting and so close in the very end? Technically, you went over into Palace of Darkness, and you did a potion camera unlock and just full cleared the entire dungeon. But you found a mirror in relatively quick fashion. Scruff, he went straight across the river and found his hammer and full cleared Thieves Town on his first go. So while you had a mirror, you got straight to flippers, and you had a ton of stuff to do right off the bat, Scruff full cleared everything around Pod first.
Oh, that... Wow. So our race was polar opposites then.
Yes.
You two had one of the most entertaining and divergent full information seeds that I think we've had for an open race in quite some time.
That
So,
that just makes this so much better that we were so close. Like this was me not screwing up my Aga 2 within 3 seconds of each other.
So what this really kind of came down to was GT routing in the very end. You went hope hard left after that, Scruff, and found the silvers in Rando Room.
Heck yeah.
But Technolink decided to go and take what we call the Dark Magician route, and found his Compass Room Big Key, which means he never had silvers. So you had almost a minute lead getting into GT, and you actually were catching up a lot of time going up Gauntlet. And Agatu just decided to have his way with both of you for an extra cycle on you, Scruff, but just hopping around a little bit, where there were some pretty nice setups that just never really wanted to pan out.
Well,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say at the start it was completely. I was all over the place, and the fact that my B did not give me 100 rupees.
Dude, me too.
Your bees did exactly the same thing within a second or two of each other on the stream. You should really watch back the VOD, because I think you'll both be tickled by how this race went. It was a blast to commentate. The chat had a lot of fun. I'm sure like you two had a lot of fun, because if you ever have an open that just goes all over the place, you have required progression in 2 pendant dungeons. Let's talk about that ice rod location, because that's really Tech. You decided, and you had the mirror, so this was absolutely a reasonable play. You decided to check the front of Thieves Town and dive out of it, and you had everything you needed to basically go and clear every other dungeon except Mire. What made you go back to Thieves Town over banking that it was going to be somewhere around Turtle Rock after you found the bow?
The fact that I cannot retain my portal. If I could have retained my portal, I would have definitely gone up the mountain first, and after bow just continued on. But I was like, okay, either it's in TR and I lose, or it's not in TR and I save 5 to 10 minutes. And yeah, turns out it wasn't in TR. I really was hoping it wasn't in TR, because that would have completely screwed me over. And then, well, I found the bow, I went to Eastern, and I decided, well, I might as well just do pendants, because the time taken to go back to the plot is much longer than when I do it now. So it was a 50-50. I got some goo. I wanted an ice rod, I got some goo.
See, both of you did finish off Helmasaur looking for your last item. For you, it was the ice rod, which we knew from a very early time that was going to be in Thieves Town. So we were all wondering at what point you were going to go back to pick that up. For Scruff didn't have the mirror for a very long time, so he actually ended up near last locating his flippers. So Scruff, how about that mirror location?
Dude, I was so happy to find that mirror after so freaking long, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to anytime we're in an open, is a super late mirror is a pain in the butt. You don't have the versatility of doing the Smith chain easily. You can't go ahead and mirror and then flute to wherever you want, and the fact that I didn't have flute just made it even more aggravating. But end up getting the mirror to just roam around everywhere I could until that flippers, and then I was like, you know what? Let's go do ice. I can clear that quick. And it took me a moment when I found the flute in Freezor chest. I was like, wait, am I in go mode? I don't normally get flute go mode. Let's do it.
You don't hear flute go mode very often.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's also why I went to the desert, found the 2 items, immediately built, because I wasn't sure that whether or not I had to do fire, and doing fighter swords, Lammolas takes way too much time, and I'd rather just come back later with a tempered or fire rod or whatever.
Yeah, and then a few minutes later you find the fire rod and go, I could have finished desert. Well, at this point, Scruff did do that. Obviously, it didn't pan out too much because you were able to mirror back from Mire to desert anyway. But that's how split up you two were from the beginning, is after you did Kakariko, you both save and quit out of Kakariko without checking the south side. And then from there, you just did a completely different path. The entire seed, I would say both of you are in a different spot until you meet back up again in GT.
I'm gonna have to watch this VOD again. This sounds so entertaining.
This sounds like fun, yeah. It was one heck of a seed. Like, I would like the qualifier seeds to be like these instead of the... That would be nice.
I would be A-okay with a 147 all dungeons. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you did the bosses, I guess. I just built out of every... once I knew Pet was dead, and I got 2 items from Tower of Hera, that's why I Hera potted in there, just to get that second item. I mean, I was already on the mountain. Might as well just check and see if I can like get a Hera as a quick dungeon, especially with Hera.
Man, you read Ped.
Yes, I was literate.
Yeah, he had he had the fortunate pleasure of mirroring from the back of Skullwoods to read the pedestal.
Nice.
This is why we find the mirror early as well.
Yeah.
Plus, I found flippers on the way from pods. No, I think I save and quit out of pod, if I recall correctly, to the pyramid. Because if you have the mirror, you save and quit to the pyramid. So I could then do catfish and then do what. I'm pretty sure I was like doing what you were doing, but then 10 minutes later, after doing the full clear of pod.
It was still entertaining.
Yeah. And especially the fact that we actually had to go to Aga. Like, there was no way around it, the seat.
Oh,
You needed Aganin for Dark World access. I like that. I like... I was considering an early Aganin play, actually. The moment I found that Master Sword, and I still had Eastern Palace to go, and I was like, do I really want to go into Aganim right now?
Yeah, that was my whole idea. When I found that Master Sword, I only had Sassy's Closet and Eastern left, and I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and at least check the closet. If it's nothing there, then we'll go do Aga 1.
Okay, so you skipped EP completely.
Yep.
Yeah, that's... I actually went in, found Tempered there, and I was like, oh!
Oh yeah, the swords were so kind on this one.
The game wanted to make sure you got at least 2 swords before going to Aga. Absolutely. And I mean at least 2 swords, because it basically spoon-fed you 3, even if you dodge something.
Yeah, if you dodged Ether, it was give you all these swords. Man, that was the funny thing too. I actually got my Tempered off of Ether Tablet.
Okay. Wait, you...
Yep,
So you went into Eastern.
Yeah, right.
You were still looking for that Galaxy Brain hammer or mitt sitting somewhere in Eastern, and Scruff said, "No, I'm just going to go up the tower."
Hey, if it works, then.
Exactly. Well, I gotta hop off because I need to go run some errands. But GG's once again.
Yeah, GG.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. These 2 absolutely fantastic runners. Make sure you give Mr. Scruff, Ninja Tuna, and Technolink your love with a follow here on Twitch. And I believe that's going to do it for us here at Speed Gaming. Again, GG, and thank you for the runners volunteering their screens and giving us one heck of a show to watch today. Huge shout-outs to my tracker today, Professor Renderer, keeping on top of all the buttons, making sure we know what's what. And, of course, would be remiss without a thank you to all of you in chat and our Speed Gaming network of family of networks who have quite a schedule for you this afternoon. I can guarantee you that if you are a Super Metroid fan, you are in luck, as it is week 6 in the Super Metroid Randomizer League. There are races on Speed Gaming 3 starting half an hour ago. You've got a game between the Last Minute Team and the Shy Guy Fan Club. And they've got another trio of races happening on later tonight. If you are a Link to the Past fan, you are also in luck. Here on Speed Gaming 2, we will be having qualifier race number 12 for the Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament. That is at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. For now, we are going to bid you adieu from here at Speed Gaming 2. Thanks for watching this episode of the Link to the Past Randomizer Daily Race Series, hosted by Speed Gaming. I was Zeruvian. Make it a great Monday, everybody. Thanks for watching.